Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. I'm Lee Camp. Some shit is going down. Pete Hegseth is just a few hours ago, it appears, canceled his trip to Israel. Could there be a rift between the U.S. administration and Israel? What? Could it actually be happening? Also, Donald Trump has made a deal with Yemen, with the Houthis, that very much does not include Israel. Donald Trump also, in just other ways, has succeeded quickly and impressively at uniting the world. He's uniting the world, not including us, not including the United States of America, but the rest of the world is starting to unite, and it is beautiful. Except for India and Pakistan. They do not like each other. Actually, I have more news on India and Pakistan. I have more news on Houthis in the Yemen. Did I say the Yemen? I have more news on Israel. I have a lot coming up right now. Please click thumbs up, click share, click all the things, because I am incredibly suppressed, and you guys make it possible for me to keep doing my work. So thank you all for that. But yes, let's start out with this. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, also known as right-wing hairpiece, has canceled his scheduled visit to Israel. And he also has announced he'll be getting some more white supremacist tattoos added to his body. No, I don't know if that's actually in the announcement. I might not be, actually. U.S. Defense Secretary, and by the way, this is from Jerusalem Post. So this is from an Israeli rag, which I'm specifically going to them because I wanted to hear how they're feeling about this. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth canceled his scheduled visit to Israel next week prior to Trump's visit to the region. And Trump is going to visit Saudi Arabia and other areas, but he is not going to visit Israel, apparently. So now neither of these him and his defense secretary are going to Israel. This would have been Hegseth's first trip. He was scheduled to meet with Netanyahu, his Israeli counterpart Israel Katz. According to many reports, Hegseth will still travel with Trump to Saudi Arabia, which, if you want to just quick reminder, Saudi Arabia, a brutal theocracy, monarchy, patriarchy, where they execute people for being gay, among other things. And but they're our besties, right? We love them. We love them to death. And we have that wonderful petrodollar deal with them. I know there's been some reports, and I covered them, that that Saudi Arabia's kind of pulled out of the petrodollar deal. But I don't know that you actually have to. I don't know that you need something signed for the petrodollar deal to be the petrodollar deal. It's just kind of what's happening. But anyway, this comes following reports that Trump is no longer demanding Saudi Arabia normalize ties with Israel as a condition for progress on civil nuclear cooperation talks. So apparently the U.S. administration no longer demanding Saudi Arabia has to become friends with Israel in order to proceed with the United States. And this also shows how the United States, we act like we control the world, but we actually, there are some countries that have power over us, and number one would be Saudi Arabia. Because without the petrodollar deal, which was what I covered in yesterday's Unredacted Tonight, I'll mention that again later. Without that deal, we are up a river without things. So we need that deal. Trump's expected to arrive in Riyadh next week, where he will set in to sign a multi-billion-dollar arms deal. Thank goodness we're selling more arms to Saudi Arabia, which means we get that sweet, sweet cash, and they get that ability to murder people. So it's good. It's good for all of humanity. If the murdering and the cash keeps circulating, wonderful. But so Hegseth announcing he was not going to visit with Israel comes on the heels of Trump making a deal with the Houthis, with Ansar Allah. And there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with that, not to mention the fact that Ansar Allah, the Houthis, have shot down something like 6 of our drones in a matter of weeks, which they've only shot down 12 of our drones since October 7th, 2023. So this is clearly a ramping up of the number of U.S. drones they've been destroying, shooting out of the sky. And Trump, when he made the deal with them, marveled at their bravery. It's amazing how much Trump can just spin on a dime. 1 minute, he's like, we will obliterate them. We will murder all them. We'll then come after their children. We'll then come after their dogs, any pets they might have. Once we're done with that, we're going after the bugs in their household. Okay, we're going after any cockroaches might be living there, any crickets that might be around. We're anything that has interaction with them. After that, we're going to blow up their books. Like, and then the following week, he's like, I made a deal with them, and they're very brave folks, because we tried to blow them up a lot, and they're very brave that they wouldn't be blown up. On the morning of this, from Dropsite News, and by the way, Dropsite News has been doing a great job on giving a shit about Israel's genocide in Gaza, which even many independent news outlets have been like, they'll cover it, so it's not that they won't, most of them, but it really has to do with the amount that they'll cover the genocide. Like, if you say, oh my God, it's a genocide, you say that once a year, that's still not really doing it justice, is it? From Dropsite News, on the morning of May 4th, a ballistic missile launched by the Yemeni group Ansar Allah, also known as the Houthis, exploded hundreds of meters from the main terminal of David Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. This is like the main airport in Tel Aviv. So this changes the equation. All of a sudden, Yemen, Ansar Allah, can hit or come close to hitting Israeli aircraft at their main airport, which you'd think if you're a foreign airline, you're double thinking whether it's a good idea to be flying into Israel. Israel and the U.S. failed to intercept the missile, which sent travelers and staff scrambling in a panic. That's right. They had to go hide under the sunglass hut. They had to get under the coffee, the cafe stand in the airport. They crawled under the thing that sells earplugs and neck pillows. If you get behind there, many people don't know that can be a bunker. That can be a bomb shelter. If you get in, like, kind of inside that little kiosk that sells earplugs and neck cushions, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. The impact temporarily shut down operations at Israel's most important international airport as major foreign carriers announced they have suspended flights to the country. In a televised statement claiming responsibility for the attack, Ansar Allah military spokesperson Yahya Sari. If I were going to rename myself, I'd go with Yahya. Totally would. I'm being told Rumble is having some issues. So if you can see this over at Rumble, I hope you'll come to youtube.com/@unredacted tonight. That should get you to my YouTube page, or just go to YouTube and do a search for Lee Camp and Dangerous Ideas. Hello, Teresa. Thank you for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. Much love, Teresa. Love and solidarity. But anyway, so yes, I'm going to rename myself Yahya. So Yahya said the Israeli airport was no longer safe for air travel while threatening more attacks to come. The following day, in retaliation, Israeli aircraft destroyed numerous passenger planes and facilities at an airport in Yemen alongside civilian infrastructure in the country. The Ben Gurion Airport attack underlines the great difficulty the U.S. has had at confronting the Houthis. In addition to the airport attack, Ansar Allah attacked a number of naval vessels in the Red Sea, including aircraft carriers, while causing the losses of numerous U.S. fighter planes and surveillance drones. The fighter planes, as far as I know, the two we've lost, it's because they fell off the deck of the I'm sorry, it is funny. They fell off the deck of the battleship or what have you. One of them, because the ship was trying to move, like make a quick turn, which is not easy for those ridiculously large ships. And it fell off because of that. The other one, because something malfunctioned as they were landing. And so another fighter jet. And these are, how much does one of our fighter jets cost? Like $100 million. It's insane amounts of money that just drop into the drink. Oopsie. Yeah, and the pilot, after that happened, that's on me, guys. Yeah, the $100 million just went overboard. I forgot to hit the little twitchy thing. I'm not going to happen again. Totally on me, fellas. Yeah. Sorry about that. Anyway, um, this week, the U.S. government announced that it reached agreement with the Houthis that would stop targeting. They would stop targeting U.S. ships, not stop targeting Israeli ships. So Israel is still fucked. And then here's Trump's statement. You know, we hit them. We hit them very hard. They had a great capacity to withstand punishment. They took tremendous punishment. You can say there's a lot of bravery there. All of a sudden, he's like complimenting them. He's, got a little poster to Ansar Allah in his room. He kisses it goodnight every time before he goes to bed. It was amazing what they took, the punishment they took. And we honor their commitment and their word. Really, like, here's the thing. If you're Donald Trump, you can say that shit when you make a deal with them. Could you imagine how quickly, like, I or some people get canceled if I did a segment where I'm just like, Ansar Allah's awesome, love them, they're the best, and they're brave, and they're like, but Trump can say it. It's totally fine. President of the United States can say it. That recent agreement does not encompass Ansar Allah's military confrontation with Israel, which the group has vowed to continue. Far from emerging diminished from this tremendous punishment, as Trump calls it, Ansar Allah is now leagues more sophisticated in both its offensive and defensive weaponry compared to 2015, as well as its domestic capacity to produce its own weapons while relying less on Iran. I kind of want to go over and check, see if Rumble's still having issues. Yeah, it looks like it is having issues. I'm going to tell them over at Rumble. Hold on, I want to put it in the chat for them. Because I don't want them to miss it. So okay, there we go. Sorry for the delay. Yeah. Okay, that should do it. Not sure what's going on there. Anyway, let's keep going here. The Ansar Allah is now leagues more sophisticated than it was in 2015, as well as its domestic capacity to produce its own weapons while relying less on Iran. So while we and Saudi Arabia have been attacking them endlessly, they seem to have gotten stronger, which is also what tends to happen to a lot of groups when you try and bomb them. It actually unites them. It strengthens them. So, right now, I think Israel's just making Hamas stronger in Gaza while killing just hundreds of thousands of innocent people. Keep in mind the number Israel has killed in Gaza is over 300,000 if you count famine and disease. To go back to the article, the rapid improvement of their military capacity in recent years has already given them key capabilities that exceed those of state-led armies, and the mountainous terrain gives them somewhere to bury their production where it can't be hit by bombing campaigns. In addition to direct arms support that the group is believed to receive from Iran, many of its munitions are said to be locally manufactured. Adaptations of foreign munitions, which Russian and Western missiles which are Russian and Western missiles that Ansar Allah has redesigned for their purposes. Rather than weakening them, the continued military confrontations have seemed to strengthen them. Well, good on you, United States. So Trump has united the world outside of the United States. Trump has firmed up the alliance between Europe and China. Trump has firmed up the alliance between Russia and China. Trump has firmed up the alliance between China and many Asian countries around it. And Trump has apparently, and the United States and Israel have strengthened Ansar Allah in Yemen. So when people say Trump hasn't achieved much, it's like, dude, he's united like the entire world. It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Beyond their ballistic missile attacks, the Houthis have demonstrated a shift in their air defense tactics. Over the past several weeks, they've downed U.S. drones at an unprecedented pace. In less than a month, the U.S. military lost 6 MQ-9 Reaper drones to Houthi air defenses, including 3 in less than a week in April. They took out 3 of our drones in less than a week, and each one of them costs $30 million. It's insane. Here's an idea. Listen. If each one of these things costs $30 million, could you guys just shave off like a piece of one and take the worth of that and send it to me? Because if it's 30 million, shave off like 1/30th of the drone and send me $1 million. How about that? Right? You wouldn't even notice. You just cut a $1 million piece off of the drone. No one would notice, and you just send it my way. They're just getting shot down anyway. You're not going to miss it. Send me $1 million is what I'm saying. Why not? The loss of the Reaper drones produced a catch-22 for the American military. The targeting databases in Yemen created during the Saudi-led war were outdated and exhausted. Exhausted means we blew up everything we could in Yemen. They needed fresh intelligence to identify new targets. So they send these MQ-9 drones to find fresh intelligence of who to bomb, where to bomb in Yemen. But they're generally deployed against areas with minimal surface-to-air defense, missile defenses. Meaning we send these out there to find out where to bomb, but these type of drones are not very good at not getting shot down, so then they get shot down. They were designed to operate in permissive environments where they would not really face a lot of air defenses. Now they're being used against an actor that may not have top-tier anti-aircraft defenses, but they do have some. The U.S. underestimated Houthi defenses and was thus unable to obtain the necessary new intelligence to produce worthwhile targets. That lack of intel, apparently, so the U.S. doesn't know where to bomb. We're just bombing indiscriminately, I guess, because we don't really know what we're doing. Led to the U.S. to this was the sentence that floored me more than any other in this article. This led the U.S. to get targets from amateur sleuths on Twitter. The U.S. military, $1 trillion operation, is getting our targets in Yemen from morons on Twitter/X. How insane is that? And do you think these targets that we were getting off of Twitter were good ones? Do you think they were accurate? Do they think there was the right things to be blowing up? Well, I'll tell you what it was. It led to us striking a migrant detention center in Yemen, killing many and perhaps most of the people locked inside. Take all of that together as a chunk. The U.S. doesn't know where to bomb in Yemen, so we decided to look with our $1 trillion a year military at Twitter to see what those guys had said, to see what basically you and me and anyone had said on where to bomb in Yemen, and we went with that, and then we blow up a migrant detention center. Well done, fellas. Well done. Best in the world. We're number one. Best in the world. Although unmanned, the Reapers are expensive aircraft, costing nearly $30 million each. Prior to the diplomatic truce, which Trump just signed with Ansar Allah, U.S. officials had highlighted their ostensible success in targeting the group, claiming over 1,000 airstrikes against Ansar Allah targets since May 15th, and saying that they had killed hundreds of members of the group, including senior leaders in charge of their drone and missile program. While many of the claims about killing top Ansar Allah officials have not been independently verified, or acknowledged by the group, many of these strikes are believed to have killed civilians in Yemen. So we're not certain we're killing anyone of any importance, but we are killing a lot of civilians in Yemen, so good for us on that. Amid the apparent detente with the U.S., Ansar Allah has vowed to continue both its attacks against Israel-linked shipping and what it calls an aerial blockade against Israeli airports until the siege on Gaza is lifted. The confrontation with Israel has become a major focus of the group's military efforts, as it has vowed to stay defiant even after major Israeli airstrikes hit Yemen this week. We will continue to ban Israeli navigation in the Red and Arabian Seas and to ban air traffic at Lod Airport. A statement attributed to Ansar Allah spokesperson Yahya said on Wednesday, our operations will continue until the aggression against Gaza stops and the blockade is lifted. That was nice of them just to call it the aggression. I tend to call it the genocide. So there you go. I'm apparently more radical than Ansar Allah. I don't know about that, but anyway, that's what's been going on with and that deal between the U.S. and the Houthis is not making Israel happy, because Israel wants the U.S. to basically just make deals that involve Israel. So for us to say, yeah, go ahead and keep, because I assume we were talking to yeah, go ahead and keep bombing Israel, but just don't bomb us. And Israel's like, wait, what? And now Pete Hegseth has canceled his trip there. So that might have some meaning. Okay, coming up, more information on the India-Pakistan war that seems to be heating up. And, oh my God, I got this amazing video. I'm not saying I'm the only one who's got it, but plenty of people have it. But this amazing video of a member of parliament in Britain reversing his stance on Israel after years and years of being pro-Israel. Pretty incredible that we're finally, it took a year and a half of genocide, but we're finally getting to that spot. All that's coming up right now after we spend 1 minute on today's sponsor, the sponsor of this show, which I want to keep this show going, so I'm thankful we got a sponsor. Today's show is sponsored by Chapter, a free service that helps people navigate Medicare and Medicare Advantage systems. And if you're like me, you think everyone should have free healthcare. We should be a modern country and have free healthcare. But as long as we have this system, which you should have Medicare, it should be, at minimum, it should be Medicare for all. But if you're 65 or your parents are 65 and you want to help them navigate this incredibly complicated system, here is a free way to do that. So yeah, 65 or older, your parents are, check it out. There's 24,000, over 24,000 actually, different Medicare plans, and most people have no idea how to compare them. Many don't even compare them before signing up. This system is designed to be confusing. Chapter is the only Medicare advisor that compares all 24,000 plans and works to find the best fit for each person. Here are some key points. Getting Chapter's help is free. 96% of people who use Chapter return the following year to use it again. Seniors have historically saved over $1,000 a year by using Chapter. Chapter has near perfect reviews online and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. And if you're skeptical like me and you go, well, I bet they steer people towards plans that benefit them the most. Well, actually, no. The Justice Department has just brought cases against their competitors for doing just that, but not against Chapter, because Chapter doesn't do that. Let's see. Just a couple more things. You can either go to askchapter.org/camp, C-A-M-P, my last name, or you can call the number 757-349-8232, and you'll speak to a real live human being. Do you remember those? Yeah, back when they were around. And all of this is also in the description to this video or to this podcast. And yeah, it's free. So check it out. Okay. Let's keep moving. Check out this video of, this is, let's see, in the House of Commons, conservative MP, so right-winger, as opposed to the right-wing Labour Party. Mark Pritchard actually switched his stance on Israel. And there's things in this video that he says that I disagree with, like he calls Israel a democracy or something like that. And yeah, you can't be a democracy when you're an apartheid state. So I'm not saying I agree with every word of this, but this is still kind of like he had the balls to actually change his stance after years and years. And this is the point we're getting to. Anyway, I'm going to play it.
Deputy Speaker, of course, Israel is an important.
Hold on.
Security, trade, and democratic partner, but that doesn't give it a blank check. The fact is that 13,000 children have been killed, 25,000 have been injured, maimed, wounded, orphaned, some of them. And for many years, I've been in this house 20 years, I have supported Israel pretty much at all costs, quite frankly. But today, I want to say that I got it wrong. And I condemn Israel for what it is doing to the Palestinian people in Gaza and indeed in the West Bank. And I'd like to withdraw my support right now for the actions of Israel, what they are doing right now in Gaza. Of course, the hostages should be released. Of course, that Israel has the right to exist. Of course, the Israeli people, the Jewish people should have the right to live in peace, but so do the Palestinian people. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that the life of a Palestinian child is as precious as the life of a Jewish child. And this is this particular moment in time. We've had lots of statements over the last 18 months. This is not only this Parliament's not greatest hour. I'm really concerned that this is a moment in history when people look back where we've got it wrong as a country. Can the minister stand up to our friends and allies in the United States and make a strong stand for humanity, for us being on the right side of history, for having the moral courage to lead, not just to follow the United States, and to make a difference? That's why we're all elected here. Let's stand up for life. Let's stand up for all children, not just Jewish children.
So a pretty epic turnaround. As I mentioned, there's things in there I disagree with. For one, he conflates Israel and Judaism. All Jewish people are Israelis. All of Israel represents all Jewish people. And I hate that bullshit. And he's just bought into the propaganda that Israel has spouted about Israel equaling all Jews. But that aside, this doesn't happen much. Like, it doesn't happen in Britain, and it doesn't happen much in the United States, where you have, a right-wing politician, but really any politician who's done all this garbage for years and years about, we support Israel no matter what they do, no matter who they kill, no matter how they behave, doesn't matter. I support Israel. And then flipped. But that is how egregious this shit has gotten. It was too egregious a week after this got started. It was too egregious a day after this got started. But still, a year and a half of genocide, and you see people that are actually flipping in the middle of Parliament. And, maybe one day, I have a dream that a member of Congress could have the stones, could have the ovaries. Women are stronger than men in general anyway. So, could have the ovaries to actually stand up and stop saying the thing they've been saying for months, which is, I stand with Israel while they commit genocide. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You are a disgusting sack of manure. And yeah, I think this actually, there's something going on here. Now, it's not that there haven't been other signs that there's been a bit of a rift between the ruling elite, and this is Britain, but ruling elite of the U.S. and Britain and Israel. But they do like to pin it on Netanyahu. They like to say, he's the problem, when in fact, it is the entire Israeli ruling elite. It's the idea of Israel as a settler colonial country that has massacred people that were living there. But still, there is a rift growing. And you see this statement from a member of parliament. You see more and more people standing up against this. You see Pete Hegseth, of all people, canceling his trip to Israel. You see Trump signing a deal with Ansar Allah and leaving Israel out of it. I think there's a certain factor of the ruling elite that realize that Israel has collapsed their brand at minimum. Maybe economically, the U.S. could keep them going for a while, and militarily, but they've collapsed their brand. They're absolutely toxic, and standing there and holding hands with them, it's just a poor choice. Poor choice. Totally. And then, yeah, someone in the chat, sorry, I missed your name, mentioned that the New York Times, there it is, STV, mentioned the New York Times had an article, Israel is not our friend. I think that's the one by Thomas Friedman, is sack of human garbage. But even he is basically, and he does the thing where it's all Netanyahu's fault. And if Netanyahu weren't there, everything would be fine. But he basically tells the U.S., to, Thomas Friedman. Okay. Thanks for looking that up. The Israeli government is not our ally. And this has just came out today. And I haven't read the whole thing, but he's basically telling Trump to abandon Netanyahu. He's not telling them to abandon Israel. He's just, Netanyahu's a problem. Let's get clear of Netanyahu, et cetera, et cetera. But still, even though it's not enough, there is a growing rift with the ruling elite over this genocide. Thank you, Dan. Goddamn right. I think it's been a while since I've gotten to yell goddamn right. Dan says, you dare to care in the face of tyranny. You give us hope and laughter. Never stop. Keep fighting. Thank you, Dan. That was very poetic of you. Appreciate that. Goddamn right. Really appreciate it. And thanks for supporting the show. It means a lot. Okay. I'm about to get to a kind of deeper analysis of the India-Pakistan war. More on that. We covered it a little bit yesterday with Eleanor. But before I get to that, I'm going to show you 1 minute of Unredacted Tonight from last night, in case you didn't catch it. If you did catch it, it's just 1 minute. So you got to rewatch 1 minute. I'm sure you'll survive. Stop complaining. I'll turn this car around. I will. So I'm going to play 1 minute. I really think it's one of the most important episodes I've ever done because it's kind of like a deeper dive on the petrodollar and how it has influenced all U.S. foreign policy. But anyway. Welcome to Unredacted Tonight. I'm Lee Camp. I'm about to show you how every seemingly unhinged U.S. foreign policy decision works. And it's nothing you'll ever hear on your mainstream media. They'll talk about this as much as they talk about the torture farming that goes into your hamburgers, because hamburger ads keep the lights on at the news studio. That and erectile dysfunction. And I don't mean ads for erectile dysfunction. Once you know why the U.S. acts the way it does, you'll be able to predict future U.S. decisions. But you might not want to because gross. It's like predicting what's going to happen next in Shaquille O'Neal's career. A commercial for a gadget that sucks gunk out from the wheel well of your car. You were the goat. Anyway, here we go. Almost all U.S. foreign policy decisions come down to hot, sexy currency. In 1944, just after World War II, the Bretton Woods system established the U.S. dollar as the world's anchor currency. All right, you get the point. And I hope you'll go check that out. It's at leecamp.com/unredacted. And that'll take you to the playlist. Let's see, I'll put that on the screen. If you want to get to all my stuff, you can always go to linktree.com/leecamp. So yeah, please check out the episode. I'm always struggling to get past the censorship. Anytime a video does well, then immediately after all the other videos do incredibly awfully. Because YouTube won't show them to anyone in their browsers and things. So if you can go there and just share it with one person or share it with 10 or share it with 100, but whatever, it all helps. leecamp.com/unredacted. And also come hang out with us on the Discord if you feel like it. Where did that one go? There it is. tinyurl.com/unredacted Discord. You can come hang out and have a chat with us 24/7. I don't mean I'm there 24/7, but I mean it's open 24/7. Anytime you want, you can come chat with us. tinyurl.com/unredacted Discord. Dan, jumping in there again. Goddamn right. And 2 Fs. Thank you for supporting the show. Trump's rear is a fly zone. Not sure what that means, but I find it funny and disturbing, and I think that was the goal. So you achieved your goal. Okay, let's get to Let's see. Denise has a question. Haven't you done an episode about how many Palestinians have been killed and how low the numbers in Gaza are now? We've got someone here saying Gaza numbers are up. Did someone say that in the chat? Because they are a lunatic who is unhinged. Yes, 300. It's over 300,000. If you take the Lancet Medical Journal, which is highly respected, and you take the Lancet Medical Journal's number of 186,000 killed, and that was last June. And so Stephen Donziger, the famed lawyer, and his team they basically just extrapolated out. If that was last June, and and that number of death continued up to the beginning of the ceasefire, which was January 19th, at that point, you were over 300,000 murdered by Israel. Now, we are way past January 19th. So the truth is we're probably at 350,000 at this point. I don't have the numbers here in front of me. And, so this is the person that is laughably lying in the comment thread. Thank you for doing that. And yeah, it's all they have. Like, if you're going to support a genocide, it's like there's only a couple of arguing tactics you can use. One is we're justified, right? Israel tried that for a long time. And then the other one, really, these are kind of the only two. One is it's justified, which no one, you can't even find people almost that say it's justified anymore. But what they'll say instead of that is they'll say the numbers are wrong. Yeah, but even if that were true, which it's not, the numbers are actually undershoots. If it were true the numbers were wrong, they wouldn't be that wrong. They wouldn't be so wrong that this isn't a genocide. Go read the definition of genocide. You will tick off every single goddamn box as you analyze what's going on in Gaza right now. And then, of course, you just have Trump publicly saying we'd like to ethnically cleanse. He doesn't use that word, but he says we'd like to clear out all the Palestinians out of Gaza. That's the definition of ethnic cleansing. It's a war crime. It's a crime. It's a crime against humanity. So he publicly said that in the Oval Office. Again, it is nice that Trump talks about his crimes in front of everyone. He doesn't even. It's so much less digging involved. He can just go, oh yeah, he just said it right there. Whereas with Biden, he's like, oh, we care about Palestinians. Do you? Do you? Okay, let's move on to India, Pakistan for a few minutes here. I thought this was a great analysis. This is countercurrents.org. It is, hold on, it's written by Professor Junaid Ahmad, who teaches law, religion, global politics, director of the Center for Study of Islam and Decolonization in Pakistan. And anyway, that was a pretty damn good analysis. He says it began, and we'll get into the details, but there's been this terror attack in Kashmir, and then there's been a bombs sent back and forth between India and Pakistan, and this could elevate quickly. And as far as I know, they're both nuclear armed, so that'll be fun. Anyway, it began, as it so often does, with a blast in Indian-occupied Kashmir. A terrorist attack, brutal, tragic, and all too familiar, left carnage in its wake. Without missing a beat, the Indian government did what they always do as a political reflex. It pointed its righteous finger at Pakistan. Evidence was optional. The mechanics are well rehearsed by now. Accusation, moral outrage, flag-waving nationalism, and when the mood permits, cross-border military aggression. Airstrikes followed, this time not limited to the usual tit-for-tat at the line of control, but deep inside Pakistan, including parts of Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Civilian deaths have mounted, although the uncomfortable detail tends to be buried under India's ever-reliable justification that it's only targeting terrorist camps. This is the Israel playbook, right? We're only targeting terrorist camps. We're not hitting women and children and innocent people left and right. Anyway, he says, targeting terrorist camps, a euphemism that has become so broad and so elastic, it might as well include public schools and tea stalls. He's saying they call everything a terrorist camp. Of course, this is also a U.S. playbook, right? Eleanor and I talked about it yesterday, where the U.S., when we were bombing in Afghanistan, we said just about everybody was a militant, because if you've been bombed by us, then you're a militant. How do we know you're a militant? Because you've been bombed by us. Done. Pakistan, of course, returned fire verbally and militarily. Islamabad claimed to have downed a few Indian jets in retaliation, though the truth remains elusive. So who benefits from all this is the question he asks. War, or the whiff of it, has an uncanny ability to reset political narratives, to unify discontented populations under the illusion of patriotism, and to divert attention from domestic decay to external danger. It's political sleight of hand. Look over there, not over here. And of course, this is not just India and Pakistan. This has been used by a lot of countries, especially the United States. The United States loves to either go to war with someone, bomb someone, say we need to bomb someone, say they're about to come after us, we've been at war, or some portion, some kind of war, not always like actually declared wars. I don't even think we declare war anymore. I don't think we have since Vietnam. But we've been at war basically 95, 97% of the existence of the United States. And not only is it to gain territory, to stop communism, to stop those using a non-petrodollar, to stop socialism, but it's also to keep Americans in line. As long as Americans are scared and, afraid that the bad guys are going to get us, what do? We all get in line behind our daddy, which is whoever the president is at the time. And that's why, immediately after 9/11, Bush's approval rating for at least a few weeks was like 91%. The whole country was like, daddy, protect us. And it works like that over and over again. And you also saw it after October 7th in Israel, and really continue to see it in Israel, even though there's some protests. And October 7th, as I've covered again and again, not only did they know about it for over a year in advance, not only did they have spotters spotting things going on, they allowed it to happen. And then when it happened, the IDF murdered hundreds of their own people. And the Hannibal Directive has even been admitted by the Secretary of Defense at the time in Israel, Yoav Gallant. He's a war criminal, but he did admit they used the Hannibal Directive, which means killing their own people. Okay, let's continue. Narendra Modi, at the helm of the virulently right-wing Hindutva party. Hindutva, did I pronounce it right? Hindutva movement. Modi knows precisely how to stoke nationalist fervor. His base thrives on images of strength, preferably aimed at the Muslim other, with Pakistan always ready to serve as the obliging foil. An external enemy, a righteous cause, and the thrilling spectacle of retaliation. The cheers of his base drown out the groans of the unemployed, the disillusioned, the poor. Who needs good governance when you can have a good old-fashioned jingoism? Man, it sounds like the United States, doesn't it? As long as Donald Trump tells us and Biden tells us we need to be scared and we need to attack people, doesn't matter if no one's employed, no one can get by. Yeah. So, and thanks for sending this. Looks like there's just been more explosions heard near an airport in the India-Pakistan war or whatever, battle, what do you want to call it at this point? Skirmish. Military chiefs are accusing Pakistan of using civilian aircraft as shields. So that's going on right now, like as I speak. Let's see. So, and here's why Pakistan would actually also find this useful, this war useful. Pakistan's military establishment, long accustomed to wielding disproportionate power over the state, now finds itself in unfamiliar territory, hated, not just by the usual suspects, but by Punjab, its traditional heartland of support. Why? Because over the past 3 years, the generals have been singularly obsessed with crushing the political movement led by former Prime Minister Imran Khan. And Imran Khan is still beloved in Pakistan. Pakistan's most popular political figure in decades. The generals deposed him, imprisoned him, and brutalized his supporters in ways that have shocked even those desensitized to Pakistan's cyclical repression. And the U.S., of course, played a big role in deposing him and getting Imran Khan banned and imprisoned. And those leaked documents, you can read them over at The Intercept about the U.S. involvement in that lawfare coup that took place. This strategy, however, has backfired for the military junta. The narrative of corrupt politicians versus patriotic soldiers has collapsed under the weight of torture cells, censorship, and sheer incompetence. Even the military's old toys have turned against it. The Afghan Taliban, once seen as Islamabad's strategic depth, now treats the Pakistani state with open contempt. So what's an embattled junta to do? Well, if all else fails, manufacture unity. So this war is perfect for them. Nothing unites a fractured, angry population like the promise of a good old-fashioned war with India. The logic is cynical, but brutally effective. Resurrect the specter of existential threat, and suddenly the generals are no longer the villains. They're the daddies and mommies that are going to take care of you, right? They're the saviors. The nation must set aside its differences, we are told, and rally behind its defenders. Whether the original attack in Kashmir was a false flag, a convenient coincidence, or a tragic act exploited after the fact, the result is the same. So it's like many of these things. You often can't prove whether some of these things were false flags or were just convenient, taken advantage of. You can often have these plans and wait a couple of years to see how they come out. I think that Israel probably has been waiting for a few years for Hamas to do something that they could then justify this horrendous genocide. And as we know, even from the New York Times, Israel knew this was the plan. They probably hoped it would happen quicker, honestly. Israel did. I mean, if they had the plans, which New York Times, you can go read the article right now, Israel had a 40-page document saying everything Hamas was going to do. Anyway, the Pakistani military, reviled, isolated, and paranoid, now gets its reprieve. For the first time in years, it doesn't have to obsess over a looming internal revolt or the roar of angry protesters outside its gates. It gets to play its favorite role, the besieged but valiant guardian of the homeland. And that, for them, is worth its weight in martyred civilians and ruined cities. The prospect of war between two nuclear-armed states should terrify us all. But it's precisely because the stakes are so high that we must see through the fog and recognize the political calculus at play. Neither Modi nor the Pakistani generals care about peace. They care about power. They care about staying in charge, not staying alive. And if stoking nationalism, inciting war, or sacrificing civilians can delay their day of reckoning, they'll do it with a smile and a speech about patriotism. Boy, it sounds a lot like the United States. And this is to give my deeper analysis on this. In almost all of these countries, you end up ultimately with the most sociopathic, and I know I mentioned that a lot, but it's not just the most sociopathic at the top of the society, and I mean power-wise, I don't mean other things. You end up with the most sociopathic because if you're not willing to step on everyone's neck to get to the power position, then you'll never get there. Like Donald Trump stepped on 1,000 necks to get to where he is. And if he didn't have the mentality of I'm going to just destroy careers, destroy lives, sue people, he wouldn't be there right now, right? But it's not just that. You have to also have a psychological failure that, from my studies of psychology, is generally daddy issues. These are mostly and almost exclusively men in these positions. And they are the reason they never stop, no matter how much power they get, no matter how much money they get, is because they have an endless void that you could just write on a diagram, daddy issues across it. They are endlessly trying to make their daddy happy, their father figure happy. And almost without exception, that father figure was a horrible human being. You look at Donald Trump's father, you look at Elon Musk's father, horrible human beings that didn't give a shit about their son, similar to how Trump and Elon Musk don't give a shit about their children. Some say Elon Musk will carry one of his around every once in a while as a human shield, but that is why they're not just sociopathic and then they get their spot and they're done. They have to keep going their entire lives because that void is there, that just empty vacuum where they wish they had a father figure that actually cared about them. And if you look at like Donald Trump or you look at Elon Musk, the two of them had $1 billion by the time they were what age? Elon Musk in his 20s and Trump in his 30s maybe, or maybe 20s, maybe before that. And I said $1 billion. They had $1 million by like the time they were born. Their dads just handed them $1 million. And so if that were you or me, and you had $1 billion, literally more money than almost anyone can spend unless you're buying $500 million yachts. Wouldn't you just be like, I can stop fighting this fight? I'm not saying stop doing anything. You could find, you could become a painter. You could go do something you like. You could go play tennis and plant things. But to have to keep trying to shred everything and get richer like Elon Musk does every day, like Donald Trump does every day, means there is an emptiness there. There is a void. They're not just sociopaths. They're sociopaths that have to spend every day. Sometimes they only sleep 4 hours. Have to spend every day trying to fill that dark void that is the lack of a father's love. And, you can have mommy issues too. That's another thing. But in this case, with these people we're talking about, it's usually daddy's love. And so this is probably similar with India, Pakistan. It's probably similar shit. I'm sure there's some cultural differences, but you have to keep trying to, and no, this isn't, some of you think I'm making excuses for them. No, you can understand things and it doesn't make it an excuse. You can understand what's at the heart of things and it doesn't mean it's fine to be a war criminal, which pretty much all these people I'm talking about are war criminals. But yes, even to get to even outside of just the daddy issues, I've mentioned before, the estimates are that 1 out of every 100 people is a sociopath. They cannot connect empathy for others almost at all. And if you've got 1 out of 100, every 100 people in society, one of them does not give a flying shit about anyone and will do anything to benefit themselves, those people need to be somehow separated. They need to be. I mean, I'm not saying you can't say hi to them, but they need to have a tracking bracelet. They need to wear a T-shirt that says, I don't care about anyone. Watch out. Like there should be warning lights maybe going off around them. But instead, we do the reverse. Instead, we have a system that actually puts them at the top of society. They become the wealthiest, the most powerful, and they then can do whatever they want, which is the way to create societies that destroy the planet, destroy humankind, destroy it all. So, let's see. One more story real quick. Please, everyone, click thumbs up, click share, do all those things. And you better check out Unredacted tonight or you're dead to me. This last episode, pretty important. Also had special guest John F. O'Donnell. Also had a segment on Trump's insane, the Trump administration's insane. You can't work you can't get a grant from the National Institute of Health if you support any boycott of Israel, which is like, what do the two have to do with each other? Oh, you're a scientist that's going to create, something that will help millions of people. Yeah, but did you once say Israel's committing a genocide? Because in that case, we don't want your thing that's going to save millions. And there's the Discord, tinyurl.com/unredacted Discord. If you've never used Discord before, it takes a few minutes to figure out how things work, but you'll figure it out pretty quick. And it's a fun hangout. Okay, last story. How Trump sent all those people to El Salvador prison mainly Venezuelans that he claimed were connected to a gang, even though many of them had no verifiable connections to that gang. But here's the newer update, is that a U.S. intelligence document actually upends Trump's claim that this gang, whether they're connected to the gang or not, doesn't matter. But in order for Trump to use the stipulations, the act that he used in order to deport them, they have to be directed by Maduro. It has to be a national effort to direct these gangs. And even internal memos say that's not true. Recently, declassified intelligence contradicts Trump administration claims that the Tren de Aragua gang is coordinating with the Venezuelan government, undercutting a key basis for President Trump's invocation of wartime powers to remove people to a Salvadoran prison. In justifying his use, he used the 1789 Alien Enemies Act, which basically, again, it has to connect to a country. It can't just be these people are in a gang. It has to be that gang is coordinating with President Maduro of Venezuela. That's the only way he can use that act legally, to deport these people with no due process. You just round them up and fly them out. It allows you to go after citizens of a quote-unquote enemy nation. But a document from the National Intelligence Council, first obtained by the Freedom of Press Foundation and reviewed by The Hill, shows that the U.S. intelligence community has not found any coordination between the Maduro regime and the gang. Big surprise. Hey, thank you, DJ, for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. Post Government Secrets 178. Government Secrets is up, isn't it? Oh, you mean the podcast hadn't come out yet? I'll look into that. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, it's possible the podcast has not come out yet. Government Secrets is also a podcast. Everyone should check that out as well. Thank you, DJ, for supporting the show. But, so yeah, it's not being directed by Maduro. Now, here's the thing. Common sense would tell you these Venezuelan, if they were gang members, which we already know many of them, if not all of them, were not. But let's just, sake of argument, say these are Venezuelan gang members in the United States. What the fuck does Maduro gain by being like directing them? Like, yeah, go sell some drugs over there. Go rob that gas station. And Maduro's just like, I got him. I got America. I told those 30 gang members to rob a gas station. What does that do for? It's so stupid. These people are fucking children. Children run this country. It shows the document shows the U.S. intelligence has not found any coordination with the Maduro regime. By the way, they're called a regime, right? Because it's Venezuela. If we hate the country, it's called a regime. If we like the country, it's called a government. So I think it's a Netanyahu regime, right? They can't seem to get him out. Doesn't matter how corrupt he is. It's a theocracy. It's an apartheid state. Not actual real democracy. It's a fucking regime. Netanyahu regime. But no, just the Maduro regime. How about the Trump regime? How about that? While Venezuela's permissive environment enables TDA to operate. This is a quote from U.S. National Intelligence. Maduro regime probably does not have a policy of cooperating with the gang and is not directing their movement and operations in the United States. Again, what would Maduro gain by being like, just punch that guy? Got him. When would, because there's no coordinated attack against the United States by this gang. Even if they were these gang members, which they're probably not, but even if they were, what have they done? Have you seen them raiding the Capitol like Trump supporters? Have you seen them attacking government officials? Or what is it that this has achieved for this? It's so dumb. Thank you, Tony Clifton, for supporting the show. You know, Tony Clifton, I told you I was going to watch that Andy Kaufman documentary, and I still have not done it. Need to check out the new Andy Kaufman documentary. All right. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Right now, I know what you're going to do. You're going to go watch Unredacted Tonight because you have not seen the latest episode. For those of you who have seen the latest episode, you're going to go watch it again. Sorry. I know you might be like, I don't really want to. I enjoyed it, but I don't want to watch it again. Too bad. You guys, it's homework. You got to do it. No, thank you so much. And thank you for all your support, guys. Come hang out with us at the Discord. Why not? tinyurl.com/unredacted Discord. And all my other stuff is at linktree.com/Lee Camp. And if you want to become a member and actually fiscally support the show, you can join up at patreon.com/Lee Camp or at leecamp.net, my locals page. I will see you Monday for another live stream, and keep fighting.
Well, brother, I salute you, though, man. You're one of the few that bring together this tremendous artistic talent and still be in such deep solidarity with oppressed people.
It's an honor to be here because I'll tell you, Lee, you have one of the funniest shows on television, bar none.
It's an enormous pleasure to be here. While I was waiting, I was leafing through your wonderful book.
The same to you. I love your show. Be happy to come back anytime.
Lee, this is one of the great honors of my long career, just to be in the same earth with you.
I'm sure.
We're just so blinded. We have so many blinders on because our society doesn't want us to know things. And so it takes shows like your show, and
it is clearly designed to eradicate.
Hey, good to see you.
Hey, Jill, how are you? Julian, thanks for joining me. Honor to have you, brother.
Consumerism is a theory that people should behave this way to help each other. It's not.
Mr. George Galloway, thank you so much for joining me in these dark times.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you so much, Lee, for having me on. Keep fighting. Ha ha.